She's running for sheriff. It's all politics.
Oh my.
I'll let you talk to her
Okay.
after you kill your camera.
Dave Weaver from PSC is on.
At least you didn't try to see Juneteenth on there this year like you did last year. Yeah. Well, it's that time. All leaders were. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dan's not here. Was that when he was in the intern's phone? Yeah, that's something. He did say that they had all the driver's spots filled, I guess. Good. Then we have, Nancy.
I'm acting the number, you know, that always a month behind. It's like they generated for the month of August.
That number went down from the last time we saw this.
I'll check. Claims.
All claims in the amount of $8.40.
And this is from one question, one from over here.
O'Hara, $457.62.
Just so you know, I have been turning more into some of people for questions. And it's from back when I was doing the hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think it's- Then, I guess Bob, you know.
Burden of the message. That's on view of states, is that right?
Yeah, I think the other thing is that's when you want the fact that I went through the process. Sent to you. I guess a couple of things here. It's gone through this previously called Rule 5, which is the fringe, and it's just called almost stormwater clearance. We just went through NRCS, so so notice of intent down the island. There is a covenants and conditions document that was already recorded for this, and it's handed on page 1 of the document. There's some additional rules for the subdivision, which included some things like house size, things like that. And finally, there's actually an offsite easement to private drain for the perimeter drains for septic systems. It's kind of a requirement from the health department. That hasn't been recorded yet, but it's been drafted and prepared. So at this point, I just maybe I'll take questions from commissioners on it. Maybe we can approve it, so. I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
Your signatures are on the first page, down toward the bottom there. We are.
Yeah. That's that part, you know. When I record it, bring it up for you.
Okay.
Does it matter what color pen? Purple. I prefer black. It's blue. Yeah. It's not an easy project. Yeah, I keep thinking, I've still got a whole month till I have to worry about the things in October, but that's only 2 weeks away. It's less than 2 weeks away. Actually. There a motion to approve the vendor claims in the amount of $518,416.53. Second. All in favor? So motion to approve the payroll claims in the amount of $273,319.26. So moved. All those in favor? Aye. Motion to approve the minutes from Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. Second. All those in favor? We got the short-term track lease agreement.
Yeah, I had the chance to review that. It looks pretty in line with other ones I've reviewed, almost comparable to the one they had over in North Judson. Rachel got an email from our insurance carrier. The underwriter's happy with the policy limits on it. So people are so inclined. I think it looks in order there.
Lisa, is there anything you want to emphasize that we need to look at here?
I don't think so. I kind of shared a draft that I had gotten, and I guess a couple of the main things that we need to make sure of is that once we have firm dates on when these will be railed in, that we have enough time that, because we will have to contact Knox Fertilizer and Reagent Chemical who utilize the track. So we'll have to I'll be coordinating with them to make sure that, their product is in or out and won't be that there won't be any issues with having the transformer come in. John, are you on the line?
Dave Weaver's
From-
on from PSC.
Dave, okay. Okay, Dave. Do you know how long it might sit on the track before it's actually moved from the lead track?
What you mean as far as us blocking reagent chemical?
Reagent and Knox fertilizer, yes.
Correct. Probably like each car about a day at a time. I don't know
Okay.
if there is a switch, if there's a switch, switch engine around where they could like maybe put it on that, that extra track that goes like where JW Hicks has bought that company across the
Yes.
street from them there. That would be a place we could possibly store them, but we'd have to be able to switch, one at a time over there. We're still haven't given up on the JW Hicks site. We just haven't got
Okay.
any response from him. That if we can get in
And
there, we can just set all 3 cars and be done.
That would be fantastic, and I've reached out as well. So hopefully, JW Hicks would be amicable to something like that. I think as long as we can give notice to Reagent and to Knox Fertilizer saying, for these 2 days or whatever it might be, that they are usually very happy and easy to work with on things like that. So
So you're gonna do all
we
the
can
legwork for us on that then?
I will do the legwork. I just, as far as the agreement, you guys would need to, approve that.
Okay.
And
Well-
I will do the coordinating.
Well, then I'll make the motion to approve the short-term track lease agreement as presented. Second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't want to sign here.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, guys.
I'll look through it, Charlie, if there's any more spots, I'll get you.
Looks like just one of us. Yeah.
This is Dave Weaver, PSC Crane and Rigging. I didn't know if you had any other questions on and our procedures or anything that you had any concerns about.
I don't know. No, but thank you for coming on.
Lisa, can I get a clean copy without the wording and the highlights?
Sure. If you actually, if it's just like what I had sent you
Yes.
with, okay, yeah, I'm happy to take the highlighted information out, send a clean copy. If a commissioner can sign it, then we can get it off to PSC to sign as well. We should be good to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do that again.
And then we have cumulative branch tax levy reduction.
So there's 5 different funds that make up our tax levy. In it's county's general, assessor, Cume Bridge, Cume Cab, and health department. The council is taking the Cume Bridge down to 0 for 2023, and they're putting that percentage into county general. Technically, the commissioners don't need to approve it, but the DLGF is asking for the commissioners to approve that reduction for 1 year.
What's the percentage at now?
0.003,
Which represents how much in dollars? Or
about 350,000 a year, 350,000 to 400,000. It just depends on how many taxes are collected. But they have a very large cash balance right now in there. And we talk about county general for this year.
So at one time we got ourselves kind of a bind by going down too far with that.
Well, you did, so there was a year when I worked at the highway department where that tax levy was reduced to 0 for 2 years and the highway department didn't even know about it. So we were planning projects for a fund that we didn't know went down to zero. Dan does know about
Okay, I was
this.
gonna ask
Yes,
Cindy.
yes. He does know and he agreed to it and yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Hopefully they'll have to-
1 year. 1 year. I'll make the motion to reduce the Hume Bridge tax levy to 0 for the year 2023.
Second, all in favor?
We have the third reading of the solar ordinance.
So actually, it's the second, table the second. So. I actually was hoping Dan would be here because I wanted to ask him. If there was enough change so that we didn't. When the next project, we didn't have to go through all of the. Hoops to create an economic revitalization area just to get the. Road usage stuff, put teeth into the road usage stuff that he was concerned about. With Mammoth. Other than that, I mean, it does cover. Most of the things that are mentioned in.
Right here, it says something like the review.
Yeah, but that wasn't highlighted as a change, you know, so. If that's what was pre-existing, then it. Wasn't, it seemed to be, I mean, we hadn't jumped through extra hoops, but we wanted to make sure we weren't getting. The least out of the deal that we could. Other than that, I'm still. The ground cover. Section does match. What. Is in the state recommendations.
Final first comment. When I met with the plan commission, it sounded like they were waiting for you to give them a written response. Of what you wanted to see when you tabled it.
Yeah, and this is where we're gonna hash out what we want.
But I just wanted to say that I have made no changes to that document.
Right.
since that time.
Yeah, this is still the same as it was when we tabled it.
Well, Mark, could I ask a question? Did you have any conversations with the Next Era folks that were here today?
I did, and I'm gonna have another follow-up conversation with him next week. Prior to the final reading of this. He's also sending me a copy of the letter that had been sent to the plan commission. But, yeah, the big differences. I mean. Is the setbacks. I don't. This mentions. 100 foot from the road center, rather than 40 feet from the road's edge. You know, and I'd like to know why that determination was made. You have what? Set for. What was that? I guess that's not really a change, but. Ground mounted solar panels shall be set back a minimum of 50 feet from any adjoining property line and a minimum of 100 feet from the center of any public road. Whereas in the IC code, it's project owner may not install or locate system on property in a unit unless the distance from a federal highway, state highway, or county highway is at least 40 feet from the nearest outer edge of this panel.
Actually, if you go 100 feet from the center of the road, you're probably closer. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do match the distance from a dwelling at 250 feet. But yeah, the ground cover stuff.
Oh, that ground cover, when they working with Purdue on that too. And, making sure they did the right stuff.
We had none when this ordinance started. So what we try to incorporate is the ground cover in areas with panels were. I can tell you, I can go back and I see code that I want to find whatever we're doing with NRCS published. And that came back because they didn't want to hold it to some sort of singular Purdue pollinator mix type of thing. So we have a kind of some flexibility there to utilize NRCS's mixes there.
I guess my only hesitation is this, when you have to maintain, a 2-foot high tree every 20 feet,
That's the buffer.
And this minimum separation of 40 feet. I mean, things are gonna grow. I don't get why we need to be so specific in these distances.
Well, we're trying to, I wasn't trying to be specific, but the solar companies wanted to know exactly, because we had two, I think the original one was two evergreens.
Yeah,
Well, you don't want to have them 50 foot apart, and not have,
okay.
Or 1 foot.
down,
apart.
they gotta have something.
And I think it also came back from them in the last, here that they want to talk about is that we say native evergreens, and they're saying that the only two native evergreens, white and red cedar, and whatever. So I, like I said, I was instructed by the plan commission not to do anything on this until you guys issue formal comments. So
Your opinion, this is pretty much written the way they would like to see it written.
yeah, and I think, a lot of that is. And Mammoth came up with their own, what I liked about. What Mammoth did is they came up with a landscape plan, so at least before you compared the two. One company didn't offer anything, really, and one has just a
Yeah,
great
and
amount of detail of what they were gonna do.
Yeah, and
So at
it's-
least you could review that and say, well, are they meeting the intent of the ordinance or not? Right? Not micromanaging like you think we're gonna get into here.
and I guess that's probably what's creating the question in my mind. I mean, it's one thing to require them to provide a plan that we then approve, but I guess
That has to have some sort of.
we have,
structure.
this is where we define what we'll approve. Then right?
Right, I mean, certainly they can come back and say. Okay, yes, your ordinance says this, but we can't get that tree, or we can get this bush, or this is an alternative that we're gonna offer. And then certainly the plan commission at that point can say, well, okay, the intent of the ordinance then. Or not, or do we want it, or can we prove that, yes, you can get this tree locally, or this isn't,
And then I'd like to flesh out more what we consider to be all reasonable attorney fees and costs in the enforcement of this ordinance, and the what we think are reasonable engineering consultant fees reviewing the preliminary site plans. That's still, to me, is vague enough to potentially not be all that valuable as far as the language goes. I don't know, you have, I mean,
No, it really just depends on the scope of the project. Said Mammoth was a lot more because they were the first ones through. NextEra was significantly less because it was kind of fine tuned at that point, but there's still a good amount of work. Your company will probably be less than the other two, we're just because we've got it all kind of fine tuned out.
That was the whole purpose of
Yeah.
rewriting the ordinance to make it more user friendly for somebody like me. And you to
Yeah.
actually, obviously, we now have a road use agreement that's in place. There's a decommissioning agreement that's acceptable, so the work on our end there is not as much. We've tried to flesh out kind of cover and setbacks and fencing and all these things, so that all I have to do is go through and once they submit their plan for review, I can go through and check each item and make sure that it meets the spirit of the ordinance there and make my recommendation to the planning commission saying the attorney.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is they're gonna want all the same procedures, the other two, in terms of establishing an economic development area, going through those hearings. I mean, it's still a good amount of work, but you're not reinventing the wheel. I don't know, it depends on the size of the project. They say it's not reasonable, and I guess it's not, they don't think it's reasonable, but if they want the tax abatement, ultimately, they got to agree to our terms, so.
Written pretty well. I mean, I went by my hourly rate and that's what I charge them.
If I could comment, on Brian's comment, you weren't here last time, but NextEra made some, I thought, reasonable comments about.
Let me say something, Larry. The only thing with that is, those are the companies that are coming in to build these projects. And I don't feel, this is the county has. Let me just figure this out. The county, is responsible for making sure stuff's done right, and yes, we want the projects, to be beneficial to the county, and I think with everything written like it is, I think it's really good. And I think those, when the companies come in, they're just wanting to benefit themselves. I think that's all it is. So when they're saying stuff like that.
Hey, Charlie,
Yeah,
just, since you guys kind of appointed me to do a lot of the legwork and negotiation and things with these guys, just to speak on that, I have to say though, like in the case of this scenario, they've already got their deal, NextEra does. So
Yeah.
to be honest, I think it's just that they saw some things in there that might be hard for us to, to be able to, for it to happen. Like it might be unachievable just because of the way some of the plant stuff is there. That's why they're paying for a plant expert, kind of just, I don't know, they're just kind of putting their best foot forward to kind of help us. I don't know, I just, again, I, support whatever you decide, but on the same token, I think the things that they put in there or they suggested were just more to help us than anything.
If I could go ahead. They're not trying to do anything that's detrimental to the county, but yeah, they are looking out for their best interests, and they had about 3 different things that they wanted to make comments on. They actually had never had that opportunity. Bill Crace was going to let him come in and talk, and then he got sick. So they never had that. I know Marty Bedrock was making the issue at the planning commission. Well, they should have talked before. They were supposed to be able to come in and they weren't. The only discussion they had with you guys was that guy standing up here the other day, and that's very hard. You need to have a little more one-on-one discussion so you fully understand what their concerns were. There were basically 3 things. One is that the trees, like Bob talked about, there's only 2 trees allowed. And that they may not be best suited, and they may not be as easily to acquire. Another thing was the 30-foot width of that border. They wanted you to consider maybe making that less. And I don't remember what the third thing was, but there was about there had something to do, and I didn't follow his thought, but the way the ordinance is written, he felt like they have to leave trees right along, or they have to remove some trees right along the edge of the property. And if that came about, they may get into a problem with when they can do it because of the bats. There's a couple bats that are protected. So they wanted to have the wording changed just a little so that wouldn't be a problem. But what they are asking for is just an opportunity to sit down with one or more of you guys and explain what their thoughts are.
Yeah, they reached out to me. I'm gonna sit down and I'll let you know what comes of that meeting.
So I guess just a thought, and I mean, certainly if you guys want your hands before it gets sent down to the planning commission, but if the goal. You know, I know Hoosier's probably waiting to submit an application. It's a process, you know, it's a process to line up public hearings to establish an EDA. It's a lot. I mean, it's a good amount of paperwork. If our goal is to get that started, I mean, if you guys want to have the meeting, you want to discuss it with them, what they want. I just feel like we could skip a step if we just rejected currently what we have. The planning commission, all they've got to do is go back in, make a couple alterations based on the comments that maybe NextEra or Hoosier provides, and then it comes back to us. We're not rejecting it because we don't like it. We're rejecting it because otherwise we take it to another meeting and we have to send it back down with amendments. I mean, it just seems like the quicker step would be just to say, let's reject this, send it back to the planning commission, let them meet with the people. They can go and make a couple alterations and send it right back to the commission. You can approve it on first reading when it comes back. It's just, I don't know if the goal is efficiency and to expedite the thing. And all it has to be made is 1 to 3 changes. It seems like a rejection. Have them talk straight to the planning commission, to Bob and the tech committee, and then come right back to us. Seems like the quickest way to do it. Yes.
If I could make a comment on the procedure there, I was talking to the guy from NextEra, and he said that, and he works with these with other projects. He said what the commissioners need to do per the law is either reject it or accept it with the revisions that they want. And I didn't realize that when we were at the commissioner meeting last time, but that's what he told me after that planning commission meeting. So they could reject it with the revisions they want if they wanted to meet with the NextEra guy, and they could decide, do we accept or modify it? And then at their next meeting, go ahead and take action and not even involve. It would go back to the planning commission to put it in the books, but they have the final say, and they would. If they reject it, then it has to start all over. So if they just want to make a couple of revisions.
I mean, it starts all over, but all the paperwork and everything has already been prepared and done, I guess is what I'm looking at. If we take it to a third meeting, we're at the first meeting in October. I don't know if the planning commission then, and so it's sent back down to the planning commission with amendments, and the planning commission has to act on it. Then it has to come back to another commissioners meeting.
Yeah, we don't see it again until December.
If it's a flat rejection, you know, it's easy enough to take this document when the planning commission meets in October, if it's a special meeting, and just say, here's a rejection. Let's meet with the solar company representative or representatives, send it back to the commissioners with a couple modifications that we think are pertinent. And I guess I'm just looking at it, probably saves us 2 to 4 weeks if it's just a flat rejection. Like you guys talk to the solar company, make the additions, just send a new copy back to us, which we can approve at the next meeting. I mean,
What, do you know when Hoosier's planning on submitting permit applications?
That keeps getting pushed back, so that this fall is what the current plan is.
Is our waffling on the ordinance have
Well,
any effect on it?
Well, that's not affecting whether they submit the plan. What affects that is getting everything in place.
Okay, so this isn't,
That's not holding them up.
wasn't the decision to keep for them to push back when they're gonna submit their applications.
No, they're not even doing that much pushback. It's more NextEra that's brought up some concerns, and Hoosier reviewed that. They had some attorneys look at it, but their attitude was, well, what NextEra proposed is, you know, is what we would want. So let's just let them take the lead, and we'll step aside, and, you know, I'm here to just kind of see how it goes. I would say this though, Mark, if you're going to have a discussion with NextEra here in the near future, I'd like to be able to participate in that, just so we know kind of what's going on.
So am I out of the discussion if the commissioners take this over and make those decisions with NextEra and that? Or, because I'm actually kind of working pro bono with the plan commission. So I would like to see it go back to the plan commission, just as your attorney has advised, and meet with them based with your comments And if you want us to meet with these other companies and get their ideas, I don't like making changes to something without vetting it myself as an engineer. I have not agreed with everything all these companies have come forward with, and I've made alterations to that and come up with some common ground on some of these things, but I don't face value take the fact that this is the best thing for the county. So I would like to see this go back to the plan commission. I would gladly meet with these people, just as I have for everything. And we the tech committee and basically come up with the final version for the commissioners to vote on, make your approval subject to these few.
I would just think a flat rejection gets it there quicker. I just because it goes back to the planning commission, the tech committee, and Bob's not doing his work pro bono with the commissioners, because here's what also happens too, playing devil's advocate. If we take it out to another meeting, we make amendments, push it to the plan committee, they don't like our changes, they can deny it, but then we have to override it at another meeting. So that's another 2 months we move the thing out. A flat rejection is that, hey, we don't like this, we don't want to move forward. A flat rejection is this is the quickest way to get the problem solved, implement the changes that we want to see, and it's got to come back to us anyway for a discussion. After it's certified.
If I could just say, I don't have any objection with that. Really, the reason I was suggesting doing it the way I talked about, where you would do an accepting it with those recommendations, it would speed it up. I really don't have an interest in speeding it up. If everybody's comfortable sending it back to the planning commission, I'm fine with that. It actually gives Hoosier more time to get their plan submitted.
I think it gets it done quicker. I think to just a flat rejection. And again, the understanding is not that we don't like it, it's this gets it done quicker so they can submit their application. I mean, we remember how long it was waffled with, the first approval. I mean, we sat on it for over a year, before it came, we pushed everything through, but
Quick question, Justin, with a flat rejection, does it have to go through 3 readings again then?
it didn't have to go through 3 readings this time. It was just there were changes, I think, that the commissioners were made aware of that, hey, there's some changes from the source, and they want to propose, they can pass on the first reading. So once it goes back to the planning commission, Bob works with the tech committee. He's actually getting paid for his work that way. They make the changes, send it back to us. We can pass it on first reading after they've got the chance to vet it and make sure that's what they want. So
That's fine with me.
I think really it's well written as it is, but. I don't see what's in question really. Being around it enough. And seeing changes from the originals to now.
I think it's the same reason Nextera wanted a road use agreement instead of putting everything in an EDA, because he wanted it spelled out and it saved him time. So it wasn't, we want a road use agreement because we're trying to get one by you. It's, hey, this benefits you and us. This is what we want.
Yeah, and that was, I think I just wanted to make sure that this was written in a way that we didn't need to do special ERA to get what we wanted out of the deal like we had to with them. And then, yeah, and just the differences in language between, what's in here. And what's in here. And this, underground and above ground cables were an issue. We had to have a special meeting about, and this goes into a whole lot more detail than this does.
Like them setbacks, I'd rather see it stay at where it's at, because I mean, if you get closer to the road, it's gonna be issues.
That was the intent of the plan commission, was to have the buttons on. So that,
So what course of action you want to take here?
Myself, I feel it's well written, but
We'll just be a second, with the third. Reading, since we tabled the second.
no, it's,
If you want to approve it, it'd be the third reading and approval. Third reading and approval.
This way,
Or you can reject it entirely, send it back to the planning commission. They can do their work and send it back up for approval.
I think Brian's asking if they can.
Oh, sure you can.
sure, I'd make it the third reading and an approval. So
Not a motion.
It's a motion.
I'll second that. All in favor, aye.
And again,
All opposed,
Nay.
then we have. Brian,
Yeah.
planning,
Carly.
resigning.
I need that. Finally.
We have to appoint. That'd be for the remainder of this year. And one of us remaining commissioners to the planning commission. Nominate Charlie. Second,
Yeah, second.
all in favor? You have anything else? No, I don't. You got anything else, Mark?
Go over this.
Oh, yes. The holiday schedule. Any changes you want to make to it?
I mean, like I said, I don't know. Need more than one day. On New Year's. Or to go all the way to the 26th of Christmas. I mean, we did, but that was because Christmas fell on a Saturday, or, sorry, Sunday.
New Year's
This was,
Day is Sunday. I feel more.
yeah, this was this year.
Did you get the 2023 state holidays?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got those. And it's the same. But. Dates are the same, but the days of the week. are different. Those change every year. You know, a Monday or a Friday surrounding a holiday that falls on a weekend makes sense, but. When. The holiday is a Monday, do we need to go all the way up to Tuesday to observe it?
I feel like that. For the New Year's, I'd say eliminate that one, but keep the Christmas one.
Okay,
I feel that's. More.
makes more sense. And then. What are our policies on? Holiday pay for those that are working the weekends and getting hourly rate?
They're for sheriff's department EMS, they get holiday pay, or they get time and a half if they actually work the holiday. But not for if they work during our observed day.
So like. On May 2nd for primary election day, they're not getting holiday pay.
Yeah, because that is the actual holiday. Because that, I mean, that is the actual election day. So, for like New Year's Day, if, I know you want to take that one out there, but hypothetically, they would get Sunday because it's first, but not Monday.
So that's. maybe so. Because if it's on this list, they should be getting holiday pay.
Well, you did talk about that a few months ago, and it's gonna cost double if you start paying actual holiday pay and our observed holidays. Their budget's gonna increase.
And so. It will only affect. Three days out of the year. how much, I mean, how much of an increase would that really represent?
More than they can handle right now, but yeah, something to talk about, with the departments and telling them to increase their budget too. I mean,
Well, I mean,
you're not just talking about one or two employees, you're talking about an entire jail staff for both, paying time and a half
if they're
on a
working,
holiday and our observed
if they're
holiday.
working, I mean, right? Do hourly wage earners get holiday pay now?
I mean, like if we're all,
Like, yeah, we're off, on July 4th. Do all of the hourly workers
yeah,
in this building get holiday pay?
we get holiday pay, not time and a half. So if Independence Day was on a Sunday and we observed it on a Monday, we're not getting paid on Sunday, just that holiday on Monday. For the sheriff's and sheriff's department and EMS, how they're set up right now is they would get Sunday pay, but not Monday pay. Like they get
If
Sunday.
only if they work that day.
Yeah.
And that's the time.
Well, yeah, they still, the employees get holiday pay. So they would get the normal holiday pay. Just extra if they're working the actual holiday, not extra if they're working our observed holiday.
Well, we'll dig into that more later. I'll make the motion to approve the holiday schedule presented minus January 2nd.
Second. All in favor?
Right.
And smart.
Yeah, do we want to set a day to do interviews?
Yes.
Well, you have to have an executive.
Yeah.
With the way my week is. Friday of this week or. When was that thing on Wednesday you were talking to me? Was that 2 days from the
And
I hear Wednesday and Friday this week. And every time works for you guys.
Wanted. Soon as we can.
Are you gonna be able to?
Do you want me to be there?
Well,
for interview?
I actually have two things I need to talk to you about for two more executive session items, so.
No, I'm supposed to have me there.
Yeah.
I'm on Friday, so I can be here.
Let's plan
Didn't
on.
overstep, didn't want to hear.
No.
Not for that, but.
Then let's have, make sure you do whatever notifications you need to let everyone know that if they're going to apply, you need to have their application in by close of business Thursday afternoon. That's for the EMS director position. Oh, yeah, what do you want to do with that?
Piece. I mean, obviously, it probably wouldn't happen until next year.
You'll have. See that, for the extra 12,000, if that's what you want to do.
Because it's kind of like. Giving this project more money, so then what about the other ones?
This is our
Oh,
only project.
this is-
We don't pay for North Judson or not.
Well,
Yeah. I don't. But just so long as we don't have. A paved road turned into gravel, that's all I care.
yeah,
The rest of it. Whatever happens, happens. I mean, it's,
are they gonna do this project this year? And yes.
yeah, how soon are you looking to get started?
You guys say, we already started once, but.
Yeah, I know.
As soon as you guys come up with an approved plan, then,
And I don't know if Dan. would
we
have-
started Judson, I'm sorry.
And. This is not the email I expected to. To lay out what the change order is. This is just, again, they're not talking about what they're gonna do different so much. As they are talking about how much more it'll cost because they're doing something different.
Well, Dan won't have to, you know, it won't happen this year, Chambers, say that. So it's if the project goes through, it'll be gravel, so it wouldn't happen until next year paving wise.
So this, the $12,000 increase for the project is for them to pay it. Is that how I'm understanding it, right? Otherwise, he's saying that we can use our resources to do it afterwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that, I mean, that's what
Yes,
he's
yes.
saying.
Mhm. So it's either, I don't know how much it is figure wise for Dan to do it. I don't know.
But the road would be gravel for a while, right?
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean, because Dan, they're even.
No,
wanting to
we
get it
want to
done
be able
this
to
year.
get it this year.
And that's. I'm trying to go.
Mhm. So it's,
You want to go, so
I mean, if.
it's probably gonna be some other cost for us to use around.
Right.
Because I'm assuming they're gonna confidence it,
Mm.
they're not gonna cold mix it.
Yeah, that's it.
They'll be hot mixing it.
So. It's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Well, it is. We got those funds somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, to get the project done, it's gonna be done this year.
Right.
We're doing-
But most very willing to entertain.
I know.
Which, where should we pull that from?
Well, you can, just gave me an idea. I mean, you could, approve it now pending your review on the change order. Right?
It seems that it's an actual change where it's, that's in the contract calls for, so.
Right, I thought they said that's what we're supposed to do. To make that kind of.
Okay, so. Like the. Motion to. Approve. $33,600.
Will be 12,000,
Okay,
the increase.
okay, so. Motion to approve the $12,000 increase pending our review of the change order. On this contract, on this project. I'm good.
Second, all those in favor? Anything else, Mark?
No.
Justin, you got anything?
I don't think so.
Anything?
Nothing.
Does anyone else have anything for us?
Charlie?
Yeah, Dave.
Hey, just two real quick things. One of the things, I don't know if we've ever, mentioned this in a public meeting, but, I do have a plaque being made for him. But I do, just going back to the solar project, I do want to recognize Bill Crace's input. I mean, he many times got things back on the rails for us, got things done. And, even when it came to the ordinance, like he was in agreement, as Larry mentioned, with the plans that were suggested. So I just wanted to publicly commend Bill for his work with that, because I think that there were several situations where we had a stalemate or things weren't moving, that he, used his leadership in the planning commission and other areas to, to make this happen. It obviously has a very nice financial boon for us as a county. And he was a really big part of that. So I don't know if I ever mentioned that in a public meeting, but just wanted to recognize that. The second thing is kind of a question for you guys and Justin about the contract for the lead cars coming in for the transformers. I don't believe there's any financial component to it. I had been talking to Lisa about this. I was just going to say, like, maybe you should put together, the dollar figure for like $100 for the initial per car for the initial rent, but just to make sure that they get it done in a timely fashion, like $50 for every day they go over for each 24 hours or something like that. I don't know how Justin feels about that, but
They
just
already
thought,
approved it, Dave.
Huh?
They
Yeah.
already approved the contract that's written.
right, but was there a financial part to it? I mean, I think you said there's a penalty and a rental, but is there a dollar figure to it?
I guess from a penalty. Why do you have that?
Sorry, Rachel, I don't mean to upend it. I just want to make sure we have a contract that has real teeth in it. I just want to make sure. So there was already a financial component to it, Justin? Is that what you're saying?
He's looking.
Oh,
I
sorry.
guess when you say financial component, Dave, you're talking about strictly a penalty provision?
Yeah, Well, the initial rental and then a penalty if they don't fulfill the time window that they agree to.
So, yeah, there's a financial component. There's not really a pen from, try to remember offhand, 'cause it's been slipped a few times since then, but there's not a per dollar penalty component for non-compliance. I think it was more like reasonable language, reasonability, removal, within a reasonable period of time.
So how much do they pay for a car to park it initially? And again, I apologize. I'm not trying to create more work for you guys. I've got a bunch of state stuff going on this morning and it stretched over getting ready for the meetings on that. And while Justin's looking, just real quick, Mark, I'll forward you. Tori mentioned that you wanted to be on the emails for the LEPC and I used the other roster. Eric was our secretary, so I'll forward that to you. But I don't know that you guys two people can join, the two commissioners can join the
No,
LEPC.
but if I'm gonna act as his proxy, I wanna be more in the loop, yeah.
No, I totally agree. I just, like I said, just letting you know, I was gonna put it there. I just.
Yeah, there's not gonna be two of us showing up at a meeting at the same time, no.
Yeah.
Well, the base rent amount in this copy, that I guess that's part of why we needed a clean copy. I don't see is written in, not this copy, it's not written in this copy, it's for some reason it's blank. But she has to send us a new copy with that in there, so I guess I'm gonna have to get back with you on that, Dave, the base rental amount, if that's what you're asking for.
Well, I just want to make sure that was one established. I think Lisa felt like maybe that she kind of hoped you would put that in there, and I think she feels like maybe that it got past that and there isn't an amount for that. And then also that there should be a penalty amount just to make sure that you can't just park there to perpetuity.
Mhm.
Again, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes here.
No, I would have liked
Financially covered.
I would have liked a copy of this without the revisions on it, I guess, before you approved it, because I don't know that I was sent the copy in Word. Yeah, I mean, that's just something I'm gonna have to get from Lisa.
Do you think it would be prudent for the commissioners to, in case that it's not there, that they agree on the upfront amount and then the penalty amount now, though, that way it's established?
Well, what do you guys think?
Well, I hope
I
there's
don't-
something there, but.
Your last short-term lease agreement, your last short-term track lease agreement. I think what the cost per car was.
they were charging. No, I'm pretty sure they charge everybody else that uses that
What she said.
a $50 a car.
I thought dropped it down.
Yeah, that was her note.
They dropped it quite a way.
Yeah, I could address that. It used to be 51 per year for a car, and then we had quite an amount built up, and then a former commissioner insisted that we drop it down to $10. And then whatever expenses accrued through the year, they got billed at the end of the year. I know that Lisa was going to be talking to them about making that back to a one-time, and she was targeting $35. I don't know what came of it, but that's what the intent was from her office. at that time.
Lisa's recommendation currently is $100 and for this particular scenario.
Yeah, they were just asking what the general fee is, and that's
Right.
what we were discussing. Yeah.
Right, no, I just wanted,
Pretty
I just
well.
wanted to blurt that out there too, just that she,
Yeah, yeah, they needed
Suggestion
that.
was, which I guess was.
I'll make that motion.
Amend the, make a motion to amend the approval to include fees of $100 per.
Delivery transformer, which was what Lisa's recommendation was.
Transformer. And. Is there any more penalties we want to put in there?
Could be something for day or. I mean, it needs to be.
And an additional.
and I don't want to steal Lisa's thunder, but in discussion, she suggested
Beyond
with a
the agreed timeframe.
Yeah.
It says for each 24 hours, so.
Okay,
Guess I took Lisa's $100 figure down there as that was what was being, because that was her
Okay.
bold print is being implemented.
that's the motion.
Second. All in favor, right?
again, I apologize for butting in on that, just want to make.
No, you're good catch. That's good. I thought that would have been filled in before it came in this morning.
Thanks, Dave. Does anyone else have anything for us? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I've got a copy.
Yeah, I don't have it right now. I gotta get it from Lisa.